All right, guys. So, welcome to my first do-it-yourself at-home video. You can see I have a ton of videos on my channel. Those are mostly vehicles I've sold on Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids. And I've never really thought of, doing other videos to help folks out. So I decided we are going to replace a window regulator. I know that glare is not the best, so let's try this. Okay, so this is going to be the same process for all 97 through 2004 Boxsters, and then all 996 911s, which are 1999 through 2004, with a few 2005s, but not many. So this is it's not a difficult job, right? And I know shops charge an arm and a leg to do this. So hopefully somebody can watch this and they can see, like, this is not difficult. There are some tedious parts to it, but generally speaking, this is a fairly straightforward, easy job. And I'm gonna go through it like a regular, just a regular dude fixing his car. You do not need a lot of tools. I have a few tools that make it a little quicker and easier for me, but you by no means need those tools to do the job. So let me go grab my tools and we'll get going. Okay, and while we're in there, I'm also going to show everybody how to replace a door lock motor. So, a few things to help everybody diagnose when you need a regulator. Of course, sometimes the cables completely snap. It's pretty straightforward. When a regulator, when the, let me go grab what I have over here and I'll show you. Okay, this is a really good example of one. Okay, on the surface, this looks, oh, there's my thumb. See, I told you I'm not a professional. On the surface, this looks like it would be it would work fine, no issues. But you see right here, the spring, or the collar that the spring goes into, this collar right here is cracked. Okay, so what this causes is when this causes the window drop down function to not work, which is actually, so that's not what's wrong with this one. There's really nothing wrong with this one. We're just going to use this as a demo. So what this causes is it doesn't keep the tension with the spring. So when you open the door, you can hear the motor. The motor itself, that bolts right here, is still good to enable the window drop down, but it won't actually drop down because this is stretched. So yeah, a lot of times people misdiagnose why they need a regulator. So if you open the door, so this door lock motor is actually bad in this car here. And I'm going to demonstrate and see if it wants to act up. Okay, so let's see if this wants to do its thing here. Okay. See, so it's not doing anything. It's not dropping down. And that's because the door lock motor is bad. So the window itself doesn't even realize that the door is open. So it doesn't know to initiate the drop down. But the window regulator is fine in this one. So maybe if I banged on it, I could probably get it to act up. All right. So these are all the tools you need. Well, you need a you also need a 10 millimeter. Okay, so you need a Phillips screwdriver. You need a flathead screwdriver. You need a T30, like long bit, if you will. You need a 10 mil. And this right here makes your life so much easier. A little, you can get them at Lowe's, you can get them at Home Depot. It's basically just a electric impact, like a small one. You really don't want to use the big one on something like a window regulator. Okay, so let's get the door panel off. I'm gonna walk everybody through this. Okay. So I kind of just do this because I've done a million of them. So my like step 1, step 2, step 3 might be a little, I don't know a good word to use, may not be that clear because I just do it by memory. So first thing, you want to pop the mirror cover off here. A lot of times the clips are broken, so you just gotta kind of get it off. Now there is a, we'll zoom in on this later. So then you want to take the door handle off, or the door handle cover. Just put a flathead right here. Just kind of pop this off. Set this to the side. Then you have a T30 here and a T30 here. Okay, there's supposed to be, but there is not always, a Phillips right here behind the door handle. In this case, there is. A lot of times that screw is missing. Now if it's missing and you want to replace it, it's just a regular Phillips screw. And I'll do before I pull the door panel off, we'll kind of talk about everything. So there is supposed to be a plastic Phillips screw that goes in like a housing under here. A lot of times these are missing. They get stripped sometimes and they can be a real pain in the ass to get off. Sometimes they spin, and what I have to do sometimes is literally just, you almost have to just, you really have to muscle the door panel off, and then the door panel comes off with that screw, or the plastic screw, still intact, and then you take it out once the door panel is off. So there is a T25 behind this cover. Now this cover can be, where'd my flathead go? Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. So this cover, to get off, is a super pain in the butt. It's a super, super tight fit. So what I do is you just kind of get your flathead in there and you just pull it off, or pry it out. Sometimes you do, you can put tape around the edges if you want to be super careful with the, so this is the airbag cover. If you don't want to damage the airbag cover, or you can just pop it off. So the screw is missing, which is also very common. So this is also a, how do you remove the door panel? Okay, so on the cover right here, that clip It's kind of hard to see. This clip right here, okay, it goes in this slot. Now, a lot of times I take these off, and shops or individuals don't properly install this, and this is bent inwards or it's broken. Now, if it's bent inwards, you can gingerly pry it back out, and then you can slip it in there. A lot of times, this is really common. These plastic, the liners or whatever you want to call them, they get boogered up. So as long as you have one here and two here, you're normally okay, and this will stay in place. So I just lay this out of the way. Just kind of put it kind of back there. Kind of just make sure it's right there. Okay, so this is the one T30. This is the other T30. So down here, you see this. This is where the other Phillips goes. That the plastic screw that goes in like a housing. Like I said, it's missing, so someone took it out, didn't replace it. And then there's a T25. Well, it's actually a hex. I don't know the size of the hex head, but a T25 will get that out. It's also missing. So obviously, someone's been in this door before. All right, let's put the tripod back up here. So when you take the door panel off, you just got to get started at one. I usually start in the corner down by the entry light and just pull the whole thing off, and it comes off pretty easily. So then you go up, because it sits in a lip right here under the window gasket. And then you need to pop off the, okay, so you need to set this down because someone's been in this door panel and things are a little not exactly right. So there is not supposed to be a zip tie. There is a zip tie. I see why they did that. So we're going to go over that too. Okay. All right. So the cable coming from the door lock motor right here. So somebody, I don't want to say somebody, or just broke because it's 20-something years old. So that should not be, there should not be a gap there. That should not be doing that. So that clips in right here. This does right here. And then this, the metal end goes right in here in the door handle. So what somebody did was, because that cable had snapped, they ran a zip tie right here to keep tension on the door, the door release from here, which isn't the worst fix. I mean, you really need it. It really needs a door, a cable going from the door lock to the door panel, but that's not really the end of the world. There is a sensor, the micro switch here, that you have to, right there, that you have to pop that out. And then this is the courtesy light, so of course someone's been in this door. So that's the courtesy light that goes down here. So it's gone. All right, so let's get to taking the window regulator out? Well, you know, we're gonna do something else first. So if you need a door lock motor, okay, then you actually do not need to go, you don't need to take the window regulator out. Doing door lock motors in these cars is honestly probably one of the easiest jobs I've ever done. So let's do that real quick. Let me go grab my triple square. Okay, so to replace a door lock motor, process is the same. You take off the door panel. Now normally this membrane right here is intact. Like we've already discovered, someone's been in this door, which, given the fact that it's a 99, that's 20, I mean, this is like 26 years old. So that really shouldn't be a huge surprise. So to do the door lock motor, actually super easy on these cars. So you get your 10 mil. You pop this cover off. Okay, so this is already loose. Okay, so now the door lock motor is actually loose. All right. So this is where it gets not tricky, but you almost have to do things by feel at this point. So the plunger that attaches the outer door handle to the door lock motor is way up in there, and you can't really see it, but it's up here. Let me grab my light and then I'll see if I can show everybody. Okay, so it's up. Man, I don't even know if y'all can see it, to be honest with you. It's up here. No, I don't. I mean, maybe if I had a better camera on my phone. Anyway, you slide it down, right? And then you push up. And what that does is releases so it's easier to do with two hands. And the alarm is beeping because that door lock motor is bad. Okay, so this right here this is what goes over the shaft on the outer door handle that opens, that activates the door lock so you can get in the car from the outside. So this right here, y'all see this? This moves. Okay, so you need to reach your hand up there and slide it. So this is the installed, and then when you remove the door lock, you slide this down and you pop it loose. You can see some threads. See the threads in there? So that's how that works. You just pop the you just use a flathead and pop the harness loose. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a super pet peeve of mine. All right, that right there. So, ooh, my nose itches. Okay. So that right there on left-hand drive cars, that is where, so if your key fob does not work, and let's face it, a lot of these key fobs don't work, that is where the blade goes so you can manually lock and unlock the car. Now, on the right-hand drive for English folks, that's going to be on the passenger door lock. Now, I've obviously never had one of those. But what I see not all the time, but what I see often enough is, and again, I say shops, maybe not always a shop, if you don't take the effort to slide that blade into place, okay, then you can't lock the car if the remote doesn't work. But if I've had them sometimes where the fob works, but if the car sits for a week or two, the fob goes to sleep, and then you can't unlock the car because some dumbass didn't install the lock correctly. So it's a big, huge pain in the butt, and then you have to call a locksmith to get in the car. So make sure you get that in place. And the best way, I can't even really show you because there's no clearance to really demonstrate it, but you kind of have to put it, okay, so it sits like this in the car, right? So this is how it sits. Okay, if you can kind of visualize this. So you put it in flat, like at an angle, and you kind of loop it in. Okay, so you kind of roll it inwards, and then you have to feel up there with your hand, with your right hand, and you just make sure it's in place. And then you pop this back on, right? You pop this in, and then slide the cover on, and you're all set. So for the purpose of this door lock motor right here is no good. This 911 right here needs a little too much, so I will be sending it to auction eventually, to wholesale auction. So I'm not going to replace the door lock motor because for the purposes of a wholesale auction, it's fine. It's not a big deal. So we're going to put this one back in. Okay, so if we were not fitting the blade for the door lock, we would just pop this in. But since we are, we have to make sure we get that in place. So first things first, harness, pop that in. Now, I don't know if you can hear it. You hear it beep beep. So the car has recognized that we plugged the door lock motor back in. And because this door lock motor is on the fritz, you hear it keep cycling because it's bad. Okay, so anyway, kind of just slide around in that little hole right there. Now, again, I can't really, there's no way to really show this to you, but you just got to get your hand and you have to feel for the blade. Oh man, that's annoying, isn't it? So you feel for where it goes, okay? So I have my finger on it, and I'm just gonna work it up to make sure I have it in place. And And then I'm going to feel, yep, okay. This is annoying. Oh, well, okay, it was doing that because the cable's broken. So now we're all set. Well, kind of all set. Okay. So what are we going to not forget to do? We're going to not forget to hook up the exterior door handle. I can't tell you how many times I've done a door lock motor, the driver's door lock motor, and I get it all back together, and I have forgotten to hook up to put that shaft back in. And I've taken it all apart. Man, it's a big, huge pain in the ass. Okay. So that is the last of needing the triple box. So we're going to put that away. Or just going to set that over there for now. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure one last time. See, I was talking about it, but I didn't hook it up. So I will put it all back together, and the freaking door handle will still be unhooked. So you pop that in place. I can't, it's not something I can show you, but like you just have to, I mean, if you had a light and you were over here looking, you could see it, but you just have to feel it. Okay, so that basically covers doing a door lock motor. Door panel back on, all set. So now we're gonna finish doing the window regulator. Okay, so you do need to take the speaker off. Out, whatever you wanna. So that's just, on the later ones, it's a T20. On the early ones, it's a Phillips. So we're just gonna take the Phillips screws up here. So the harness over here for the speaker, it's a little tough to get to. I find that you can just kind of pry it out a little bit, and then you can kind of get to it. They clip it onto the speaker, so it's a little hard to access. So once you pop it loose, you just kind of wiggle it off. Set the speaker to the side. Okay, so that's really it. So now we're into doing the regulator itself. Okay, so if the membrane was all here, you do have to kind of, I mean, it's going to rip. You know, sometimes you can get away with not ripping it, but normally it's just because it's old. Down here at the bottom, it can be a little, this one's actually coming off pretty easy, but it tore right there. I mean, really, there's nothing. You need to get that sticky crap all over the place. Okay, so you pull this up. Get the speaker harness out of the way. Okay, so now we can get pretty much everything we need to get to. So you got your 10 mil. So you got 2 up there. You got 3 for the window motor. Or yeah, for the motor. Okay, then on the bottom right here, I do these by feel. I've done enough of them. They're right here. You pull these plugs down. So that one over here is missing. It's just a little oblong plug. You get your impacts. Okay, zip that one off. And you go over here. Zip that one off. Okay. So now the regulator is loose. But now you gotta take the glass out. So okay, so y'all can't see this. These are supposed to be a T30, but this is a aftermarket regulator. So these are 10 mils, which is okay. I mean, it's not right, but it's not the end of the world. So you just kind of get those loose. Okay, then you grab the glass. Glass comes straight out. Set this off to the side, away from where you're working. Okay, the reason you set it away from where you're working, because if you set it here and you're working and it falls over, it'll break. And ask me how I know this, because that happened to me once. So now what I do is I take the glass, I either put it over there to the left on my fence, or I put it over by the trash cans, way out of the way, so I'm not gonna knock it over, I'm not gonna break it. So now the regulator is loose and it's ready to come out. So this is a trick I've kind of developed. This thing gets in the way. It's a pain in the ass. It's just flopping all around. So you get the membrane, you get your screwdriver, you just poke a little hole in it. It's not gonna hurt anything. You just poke a little hole in it and you get it out of the way. You could tape it. I'm sure there's other ways to do it. This is just a little shortcut I've developed. So sometimes there is a zip tie right here. You just cut it. You can replace it if you want to. I normally don't bother. I've never really had a problem. Okay, so now you have all the screws are loose. The bolts are loose, but you're just gonna have to work them because it's a pretty tight fit. So I start up here. So the clamp that holds the window just came apart, but we'll get to that. Well, it wasn't installed right to begin with. That is not supposed to be at a V. It's supposed to be straight up and down. So that wasn't done properly, but you know, again, not the end of the world. Okay, so now you have to take the motor loose. Now, I'm going to tell you this from experience. You will cut the hell out of your hand if you, because this right here, okay, this right here is sharp. Okay, that is a sharp edge, and when you're taking this harness back, if you're not careful and it lets go, bam, you cut your hand. So you really have to be careful. You just kind of like. Okay, so that was the easy one. So you just gotta so you bend the cables down a little bit, kind of manipulate it out of there. So this door lock keeps going crazy because this cable is broken. In case anybody's wondering, where the beep, it just keeps going beep 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 beep. Okay, so window regulator is out. Something else I have learned. So, I do not like aftermarket window regulators from FCCP or East or whatever the hell the places that sell the aftermarket regulators. I find that the drop down function does not work correctly. My experience. Now, a new one from Porsche they're ridiculously expensive. In my experience, the best way to go is to buy a used OE window regulator, and you just check it before you put it in and make sure the springs are good. You make sure the plastic collars are good, and you'll be all right. If you buy one off eBay or wherever, if it comes with a motor on it, because some of them do, the motors are actually really cheap. They're like 30-40 bucks. So some of your parts recyclers will not separate them because they just sell it as a unit. I learned this the hard way. The motors are different, meaning Boxster motors are different, Convertible motors are different. Coupe motors are different. If you buy a used one, and if it shows up with a motor, take your motor off your car, even though it looks the same. Even though it looks the same. It's a 13 millimeter. All right. You just zip it off. Zip it on the regulator that you're putting in. One less thing to worry about, because before I learned that, I had to redo a couple because the motors weren't right. It was another huge pain in the ass. So a lot of like things I'm explaining in this video are things I've learned from trial and error that took a lot of my time up, and hopefully it can save you some time if you pay attention to my warnings. So I'm trying to find... Okay, so here's something else I'm going to tell you. Boxster window regulators and 911 window regulators are exactly the same. I don't know if I have any Boxster ones over there in my bad regulator pile, but I want to show everybody one thing, so bear with me 1 second. I will be right back. Okay, so this one here, this is from a 911. Oh, this one right here is from a 911. But if this came out of a Boxster, where is it? Where is it? Okay. If this had come out of a Boxster, over, I believe right here, everybody see that hole? There will be a bump stop right there. I'm trying to visualize this. I haven't done a Boxster regulator in a while. So at any rate, there would be a bump stop. I believe it would be right, I think it'd be right here. And the reason for that is the Boxster windows don't go down as far as the 911 windows because of the doors. So you can buy, like let's say you're hunting a regulator and you find one that looks good and the springs are good and the collars are good, but it's from a 986. It'll work. But before you install it, you have to remove the bump stop that goes right here. If you don't, the window in your 911 will stick up about 1/8 of an inch, and it will drive you absolutely crazy until you redo the entire job. Well, not really. If you pull the door panel, you can get to the bump stop without removing everything. Or maybe, you see that? Okay. You see that witness mark right there? This may have come out of a Boxster. I really don't remember. Like, this was over in my junk pile. I keep everything. You never know. Maybe I'll need a cable or maybe I'll need... So this is what the factory ones look like. It's a T30. Right? So I keep everything. Maybe I'll need the rubber off one. You just don't know. And that's why the end of my driveway looks like a junkyard, but you know, don't kill my wife. Who am I kidding? She knows. Do my neighbors tolerate me? Thank God. You can kind of see in the background there. They got a lot of crap. Okay. So now we're back after my little sidetrack there. We're gonna pop this motor off. Can y'all see? Can y'all see that right there? Okay, so window motor, 313s. You just gotta. It's a pretty tight fit, so you just gotta. That one came out pretty easy, actually. Okay, we're gonna set this off to the side. Okay. So I'm all turned around on which one's going in, to be honest with you. Okie doke. This is the one we are putting in. So what did we just talk about? We're going to get the same motor, right? So the motor, the way it fits in, it only goes in one way. It's an angled. There's like a 2 and a 1. So there's only one way to put it in. The teeth don't matter. It'll relearn its position. So you just zip this guy in. Okay. Now we're done with the 13 mil. Put that back in your box. And we're actually done with these, so we can put these away too. And we are done with the triple box. So we put the triple box away. My work area is not overly organized, but I do know where all my stuff is. Okay, so the regulator going back in is a factory OE, so we have the correct T30s on the... So we have the T30s on the window holes right there. Okay, so best way to do this, right? And this gets a little tricky because if you don't do this, if you put too much pressure on the plastic collars and the springs, if you manhandle it too much, it will snap, and your good part will no longer be a good part, and you'll be right back where you started with a broken regulator. So, just so everybody can visualize, this is how it goes in, right? You have a 10 mil here, you have a 10 mil here, right? You have one here, you have one here, you have 3 on the motor. So the way I found to do this that works for me is you kind of just have to be gentle, but you also have to be assertive. Man, these things are so freaking annoying. Okay, there you go. So you kind of set it in there, right? And you work it. Oh, something else to note, you don't really have to, I've never done this. So the door skin is not that thick, right? It's a pretty thin door. As far as like worrying about pushing like an out dent, you'd have to really, I've never done that. You'd have to really use some force. So as long as you don't like completely manhandle putting this in, you're not going to really make an outward dent into the door. So that's not really something you have to worry about. You just have to, so right here, okay, so right here is what you have to be concerned with. If you snap this plastic, or if you snap the collars going into the regulator, then you're going to be right back where you started with a broken regulator. So you just kind of have to take your time and know where everything's going, and before you put it in, take a second and just kind of look at it and kind of familiarize yourself with where the bolts go and where the holes are. So it just makes more sense when you go to actually install it. Okay, so we're going to start over here first. So we're just kind of work this way up. Okay, so we're good over here. A little bit of tension. I don't love the way this is all going together, but we're okay. And this is the only way to do it. You do have to be a little forceful, but just remember, you're not really gonna, you're not gonna damage it unless you really give it hell. And normally, before you get to that point, you can stop, regroup, and kind of like, figure out what has to go where before you break something. Okay, so what I like to do is kind of get the top situated so you can see. Okay, so I kind of hand tighten these before I zip them down. That way I can just kind of get everything kind of where it needs to line up. So everything's looking good there. So you're just going to kind of get it in place. I will say this. Okay, this is a good example. Let's grab the camera here. Okay. So we've got the top one in there. Now you can see where this fits down into the door right there. Okay, we got the top one here. We do not, the lower one on the right hand side is not situated. Okay, so this is a little hard to do with one hand, but we're gonna give it a shot, so bear with me. So before I put the 10 mil bolt here, I'm going to pull this out. Okay, see that? So we're gonna go out. We're going to get the bottom situated. And again, I'm doing this with one hand, so it's not that easy. Okay, so once that is in, God, this stupid thing is so aggravating. So you can see how that's in, right? You see the hole? Okay. Okay, so we're in the groove there. Okay, then we're going to pop this back in place. Okay, boom. Okay, so we're home on all points. So you're gonna thread this one in here by hand. Okay. Biggest thing is don't remember to tighten them down, or else you're gonna have to pull the door panel off again. Big pain in the rear. So we're gonna get the membrane out of the way again. Okay, a trick I've learned. So this does matter where this sits. If it's too far back or too forward, it creates too much tension. Window doesn't seat right. You can get water coming in the car. So if you look, you can see when the little German guys assembled this car, they put the original regulator was right there. You see it, right? Okay, so just put the one you're replacing, just put it in the same spot. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. They already figured out where it should go. Just put it back where it should go. So thread, so you have to kind of, so if you're not comfortable doing this without looking, you do have to lie on your back. It's kind of a pain. So what I do, where can I put this? I don't know if I can do this with one hand. Okay, we're gonna put the camera back where she belongs. Okay. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. So what we're gonna do is we are going to get your little battery impact. All right. So, I mean, if you want to lie down on the ground, more than welcome to. You just get your socket, make sure it's seated on there properly, and then zip it on home. So we only have one of the two plugs. You get your plug, you can kind of feel where it goes. Just kind of push it on there. So we're gonna do the same thing over here. Now y'all obviously can't see this, but I'm gonna get, I can see where the original one was, right about there. Well, now it's gonna go forward a little bit, okay. So we're just gonna, so I'm doing this by feel, right? We're gonna get the old, we're gonna get it on there and, okay, we're done. The bottom is situated. So only the bottoms are adjustable, right? These and the ones for the window motor are not. Oh, guess what? We forgot a step. You got to plug in the window motor. See, I get to talking and I forget things. So the window motor harness, you just pull up, or just kind of make sure it's in there. It'll clip home. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so the other 5 bolts, the 2 at the top and the 3 right here, are not adjustable. So you just get them, you hand start them. Guess what, guys? We are almost done. All right, so these 2 access ports, these will come in handy maybe later. What these, well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. We're gonna jump around a little bit. If you have the window completely in and the regulator completely in, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Okay, so next step, put in the window glass. So we're going to lower the regulator to where we can see the clamps for them, cups, whatever you want to call them. You got to make sure the rubber's situated properly. I'll come zoom in on that here in a second. Make sure your rubber, okay, we're good. Some of this stuff, I mean, I can do it by feel because I've done, you know, I don't know how many. All right. Just be really careful with your glass. If you break the glass, I've broken a few. I have glasses. Most people don't have 9/11 window glass just sitting around. So you're kind of going to get in a pickle if you break your window glass. Okay. So we're going to get this stupid membrane out of the way again. Now, if this were one that was getting retailed or was going to bring a trailer, I have these membranes, I would replace it because you really don't want a hole missing because it keeps moisture out and whatnot. For these purposes, we're not going to worry about it. Okay, so what we're doing, yeah, doesn't everybody just have headlights and convertible tops sitting in their yard. Probably not. Okay, so we had to get the window glass to sit in this clamp, cup, whatever you want to call it. Now, normally I don't have to get this up close and personal, but I'm going to kind of pop down on the ground here. Okay, so again, just like when we situated this bottom bolt, this bottom mounting bolt, we're going to look. This is where a lot of people screw this job up. If you don't adjust the window properly, it won't seal. You will get water in the car. You will get your immobilizer wet. You're going to create a really, really big problem. That's something that is completely avoidable. So you can see the clean part of the window where it was clamped for the last 24 something years, right? 25 years. Okay, so just put it back where it was. That's all you have to do. It's a good starting point. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be right. Sometimes you do have to adjust it. So you get your T30. Now you really don't want to use the impact right here. This is glass. You don't want to break the glass. So you tighten it down, right? Just tighten the, I mean, I don't know what the spec is. I'm sure there's a spec. Just tighten it to snug, right? There's no reason to go crazy. Okay, this one's a little more tricky. So we took this brace out, you remember? You can't, I mean, if you put it all the way down at like this funny angle, but then you have to worry about stripping it. So you put the window up to right about there, okay? Then you just kind of get in here and look and see where was it. Okay, that's pretty close, right? That's a good starting point. So with 2 hands, you can hold the window up. So I'm gonna put this, all right, so you're gonna put the window up and kind of see where it was and say, okay, that's pretty good. Let's start there. It's a good starting point. All right, so we're gonna tighten her up. Again, you don't wanna, you're not doing the Hulk here. You're just getting it tight. You do not wanna break your window. Okay. Get your harness, put it in there. Get your membrane out of the way. Before you button everything up, all your harnesses, put them inside. Everything I'm telling to do are things I have not done. If you leave this hanging, you will close it in a door, you will crack it. And then you're gonna be like, oh, I just broke my mirror, my control switch housing. Just get it, you don't have to install it, you just want it out of the way, right? It's out of the way. Okay. So the drop down's not working because that door lock motor is bad. We know that. We're not really worried about that at this point. This is just more like a demo. And then we're gonna make sure you don't hit your door panel. Okay. So what you want to do here, okay, so because the drop down's not working, this is a little on the not normal side. Okay, so this is good, right? You want to make sure the seal is lined up properly with the quarter window if it's a cab, or well, the quarter window also if it's a coupe. You want to make sure it doesn't smack. I've gotten these before where this wasn't adjusted properly and it smacks against this metal. This is metal, right? They're here. It smacks against the metal support bar, whatever you want to call it. I've never had a glass break, but this thing gets all boogered up from smacking over the years. So next we're gonna close the door and we're gonna put the window up. We're gonna see how it looks. So that looks pretty good. Let's open the door here. Of course, we got this janky door cable. All right, hang on a second. All right. Ooh, man. Okay, let's see how this looks. Yeah, so this looks pretty good to me. Okay, hang on a second. Let me put this down. Oy, oy, oy. My tripod is not really cooperating. Okay, so we actually nailed this on the first try. So the window is in, see the window's in the channel, right? It's nice and tight. It's nice and tight here. And before you button it up, you gotta come back here and you gotta make sure there's no gap right there. Right, if there's a gap right there, water's gonna get in. You're gonna get your immobilizer wet. You're gonna create a whole big problem that wasn't there. So you just have to make sure it looks right. And 9 times out of 10, if you put the window back where it was, if you put if you go off the witness marks, most of the time you're gonna get it right. Sometimes, so if you don't get it right, what do you do? Well, good question. If you don't get it right, if you need to adjust the window, you do that by loosening the T30, okay? And you just move the window a little bit. Sometimes you loosen that one and you have to tilt the window forward. Sometimes you loosen that one and you have to tilt the window backwards. It's just a little, it's kind of like a give and take. There's no one definite answer. But before you button it up, you just want to make sure that the window looks right in the track. And if you really don't trust yourself, then a backup is to get the hose and get your neighbor or your wife or your kid or whatever and have them pour water with you in the car, right? Have them run water over the roof and you can see if you have any water coming in from around the gaps. That way you know where you have to adjust it, and just keep at it until you get it, because sometimes it takes more than one shot. I haven't had to, every now and then I get them where I have to adjust them and it's kind of irritating, but what you have to tell yourself is it might take a little bit longer on the back end, but you're saving yourself tons of work on the front end by getting water in the car and creating more of a problem. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a zip tie and we're gonna put her back together. So again, normally if I was gonna retail this car, if this car was gonna end up on Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids or whatever the case may be, I wouldn't be putting a zip tie bag in it. I have door cables. I would just, I'd be fixing all these little nuances. But as this was for educational purposes, we're just gonna let it go and it'll be fine. Okie doke. So, step number 1, we're gonna put the speaker back in. So we get the harness right here. And through the hole in the membrane. Kind of just tuck this guy. You get all the sticky shit everywhere. Somebody obviously was in this door and either they didn't exactly know what they were doing or they just put it back together and said the hell with it. Probably option 2. Okay. Plug your speaker back in. So this right here fits down in a groove, right? That's pretty, like when you take it apart, it's pretty self-explanatory when you see it apart. Okay. Now, we got the car. So this is relatively important. It keeps this harness out of the way of the window. So we do want to make sure we always get that back in. That would create some, I mean, not really like problems. It's kind of like pain in the ass problems. The window would basically stop going down. I don't really think it would tear the harness. I mean, it might, but I kind of doubt it. I would think if the window was getting stuck, the anti-pinch function would stop it first. Okay, so we're all set to go back on. Okay, so this harness for the door lock sensor, or the door open sensor, we're going to plug that guy back in here. We're going to take the mirror loose. So the cable, the hook in for the door latch, it's kind of hard to grab on camera because it's kind of smushed in there, but when you see it, you know, if you're attempting this, you have to at least be mechanically inclined to some degree. So when you see it, it'll make sense to you. So we're gonna go back with the fix here on the cable tie with the zip tie. Our mirror out of the way. So I always start with the top of the door panel. Just kind of get it in the lip there. Line up the lips. Just kind of give her some little love taps, and they normally go right back in. Okay. So we're missing that screw, the plastic screw right there. We're not going to worry about that. We're not going to worry about putting the screw in there. So we're going to put the Phillips in behind the door handle. Okay, then we're going to get our T30. So we have two sizes. Big and small. Big is at the bottom, Hold it at the top. They have beveled ends on them, so they pretty much find their own hole. Get the cover, line it up, give it a pop, make sure it's on there. Go back over here. All right, guys, that is it. Okay, so if you can imagine, we're at an hour and 10 minutes, and I was talking and taking my time. So if you just went at it and got it done, I mean, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if you've never done one before. In shops like to charge, it seems like they charge 3 to 4 hours for a window regulator, which to me is Looney Tunes. And I guess shop owners may not appreciate this video, but we got to help each other out, right? So there you go. Hope it helps. You got questions, drop a comment. I'll do my best to answer. And thanks for watching.